So I believe I should call the meeting to order. And I welcome everybody today. Thank you for coming to campus on another snowy Friday when it's closed. But we appreciate your attendance and the facilities people for making it so we could get out here and in here safely. I think she may have, I wasn't here last meeting, but I want to officially welcome Dr. Toms to the table, and we will talk to her later in her official capacity, but welcome on behalf of the board. We're glad to have you here at Missouri Southern. So, you have in the board packet, and those of you on the phone were distributed the minutes from the January 14th, 2022 meeting, and those minutes do need, I'll entertain any modifications. If there are none, modifications or changes, I need a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
I have a motion by Governor Elliott,
Second.
a second by Governor Haley. Heard him first. Those minutes are approved. We will go right in since we're running a little behind, not to rush anything, but to our President's report from Dr. Van Galen.
Thank you, Governor Hershey. To begin my report, I want to take some time for us to take a moment to pay our respects to two members of the Joplin Police Department whose lives were lost in the line of duty on Tuesday, and a third who was seriously injured. All three had ties to Missouri Southern. The fallen officers were Joplin Police Corporal Benjamin Cooper and Officer Jake Reed. Let me tell you a little bit about these individuals. Benjamin Cooper, a fall 2003 graduate of Missouri Southern's Law Enforcement Academy, began his career with the Joplin Police Department in 2003 and later transferred to a sheriff's department in Colorado. He returned to the JPD in 2013. Officer Jake Reed, just 27 years old, graduated from the academy and earned his Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice Administration in 2017. He was a member of the Patrol Division. The police department announced yesterday that he will not recover from his injuries, but he is an organ donor. A third officer was also seriously wounded in the incident, Rick Hershey, who graduated from the academy in 1994. He has served as the organizer of the department's Shop with a Cop program for a number of years, and in 2016 was named the department's Special Enforcement Officer of the Year. All of our thoughts and prayers remain with these officers, their families, the police department, and all those impacted by this tragedy. Earlier this week, the campus flag was lowered to half-staff, and blue ribbons were tied around trees on campus in show of our support. This morning, we observed a moment of silence to honor the three officers. Missouri Southern has a distinguished law enforcement and criminal justice program with the Law Enforcement Academy dating back to 1969. This week's tragic event serves as a reminder of the dedication and sacrifice of our officers and the officers who protect and serve our communities. So today, on behalf of Missouri Southern, we want to say that we stand in support of the Joplin Police Department and other area law enforcement agencies who commit themselves each and every day to making a positive contribution to our communities. Thank you. With that, I'll begin my more formal report. I provided the board with a written report, of course, and I want to highlight a number of points in that report. I'll begin with a summary of investments in higher education that have been proposed by Governor Parson as part of the fiscal year 2023 Missouri state budget. We are grateful for the governor's support and are certainly pleased that his proposals seem to have been well received in the state legislature. The governor has proposed a core budget increase, funding for MoExcel's projects, and investment in capital projects, including a health science innovation center here at Missouri Southern. All of these would be extraordinarily impactful on our university's future. We will not know the outcome of the budget process until early summer, but we continue to engage legislators and communicate the value of an investment in Missouri Southern. As an example, over 22,000 Missouri Southern alumni live within a 100-mile radius of Joplin, which results in a tremendous economic and community impact on Southwest Missouri and the four states region. My report also outlines a series of changes in campus administration that will reduce administrative expenses by approximately $500,000 per year beginning on July 1st. This includes a reorganization of existing academic programs into 3 academic colleges, an idea that was discussed at today's Academic Affairs Committee and will be considered by the board later this afternoon. There are many different ways to organize academic programs at a university, but the proposed model will not only reduce expenses, but will also catalyze some really wonderful relationships between faculty and academic programs. I'm certainly grateful to those who have worked together to develop this plan, and I especially want to thank our faculty, represented today by Dr. Locker, for their engagement and feedback during this process. Also, I certainly thank Academic Affairs leadership for their work on this, including Lorinda Hackett, who has led and shepherded these ideas over the past few months. Finally, I want to update the board on the initial step being taken to develop our university's next strategic plan. As context, Missouri Southern State University's current strategic plan launched in 2018 and will sunset next year in 2023. This strategic plan continues to inform our priorities and our decisions. However, the university finds itself at a crossroads, a time of challenge and at a time of even greater opportunity. So it is the right time to chart an ambitious path for our future. Earlier this week, I invited a group of faculty, staff, and administrators to be part of the Strategic Plan Task Force. The charge of this group includes assessment of progress on the university's current plan and the development of a roadmap for our next strategic plan. We are just beginning this process, and over the coming months we will engage the board, external stakeholders, and our faculty, staff, and students in this process. Provost Lisa Toms will chair the task force. I will be an ex officio member. I believe we need to be aspirational in this process to chart a course that will further distinguish Missouri Southern State University among institutions in the region, state, and the nation. With that, I thank the board for its extraordinarily strong commitment to our mission and the future of this great university. Thank you, Governor Hershey.
Thank you for your report, and on behalf of the board, I will say that we join with you in expressing our condolences and thoughts and gratitude for the service of the officers. So, are there any questions from Dr. Ben Gator? No questions? Well, okay, then we'll move into Dr. Hodson's report, but I'm going to steal a little bit of his thunder first and report to the board that it was a snowy Friday. I can't remember if it was last Friday or the Friday before that, because the snowy Fridays are kind of running together lately, but I had the opportunity to attend an all-day retreat that the Missouri Southern Foundation held. It was that they are ending their strategy planning cycle, and it's my understanding this is the first all-day retreat of its kind that it ever held. And to my surprise, even with bad roads, I think every foundation member, save 3 or 4, attended there. So there were many in attendance, 40 or 50. It was led by a facilitator and different people. Sally Beard is president of the foundation, and Dr. Hodson. It was a great day. That group is engaged and energetic and has a lot of thoughts about supporting the university and to the next future and the next steps. And I was glad to see that and appreciated Dr. Hudson's work and the foundation's work. And so that's my report about the foundation, and you can ask Dr. Hudson's any questions, but if you know or see any of those foundation members, shake their hand and tell them thank you. They're doing good work. Okay, with that little speech, I'll hand it over to you, Dr. Hodson.
Thank you, Governor. I'll pass along your kind words to the Foundation Board. That's great. So, you have my report in your packet. I'll begin with new student admission. You can see that we are holding the 300 new freshman margin that we had the last time I gave this report. We anticipate that will begin to tighten as we move into the summer, but right now we are up 28% year to year over last year where we were on first-time freshmen, and just slightly up on transfer students. I did not provide you a list of the events that are forthcoming to recruit students as I have in the past, but all the events I indicated were happening are happening this spring and into the summer, so that's very exciting. Then you'll see under the college tour that Missouri Southern has been invited to participate in season 6 of a show on Prime Video called The College Tour. And if you have Prime Video and you have the opportunity on a cold Saturday afternoon, look at some of the other videos for the other colleges that have been done over the previous 5 seasons. And then you'll get a sense of what you can anticipate for Missouri Southern in season 6. We are the first college in either Missouri or Kansas to participate in this show, and so they will be here the week of April 18th through the 22nd to shoot the video for that 30-minute episode that will air later in the calendar year. Page 5 contains a quick marketing update, but I want to move to page 6. At the top you'll see an update on the feasibility study. When I turned the data in, we were finishing up week 4. We've now completed, today is the last day of interviews for the feasibility study. They completed 124 interviews. Our goal was 100. And so we've met that threshold. We also sent out a survey to everyone in the database for which we had an email address, many thousand. And as of yesterday, we had 400 completed surveys, which again, the threshold for that was around 300, 325. And so we've met the goals for the validity of the study. We anticipate that they will have the results of that study prepared for our review in May of this year, and then we will know the data behind how to make a decision on the goal of the campaign, the projects that were the most embraced by prospective donors. A lot of critical pieces of information will fall into place as we make decisions about how to move forward.
Okay. Are there any questions for Dr. Hodson about enrollment or admissions or any of the other topics he?
Question on the college tour.
Okay.
Will the oval be completed by the videoing?
We have had great conversations with R.E. Smith, and they understand that Friday the 15th is the last day to have it all cleaned up and grass growing and beautiful flowers blooming, and we are headed in that direction.
Okay.
But every day it snows and rains is another day that they get concerned. So, and I must say, that's a great question, Governor Haley. The production date was dictated by the producer's availability to be here in Missouri, and so we did not have a variety of dates to pick from. When when they invited us and we expressed interest, they said, "This is your date," and so we are maneuvering around that as best we can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an exciting chance to get the word out to a wide audience of all the great things happening here. So, hope that goes well. Are there any other questions for Dr. Hodson? Okay, with that, we'll move right along and hear from our Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Lisa Toms, who I mentioned earlier. Is this your first board meeting?
I was here in January to be introduced, but
Okay, yeah.
This is the first time I've done this, so.
Yes, okay.
Don't ask too many hard questions. So, the two accreditation issues that we'll bring up are specialized accreditation. The Placer College of Business is moving forward with seeking AACSB accreditation. As you know, they were approved for the initial accreditation process in May of 2021, and their progress report, which is required annually, was submitted on February 15th, And they continue to look, the next progress report will be in a year, February of 2023. And of course, they continue to be accredited by ACBSP. The Industrial Engineering Tech Program are working on their self-study for ABET accreditation, and we should have a visit from ABET in the fall of 2022. After 2 years of a hiatus because of the pandemic, we have re-engaged with the Disney College Program, which provides paid internships for students on the grounds of Disney World, which, who wouldn't want to do that, I guess. There are different links, but these particular students have applied for a 1-semester or 6-month internship. 26 students applied, and as this was printed, 3 have been accepted, but now 6 have been accepted so far. It's a wonderful opportunity. I have several former students from other institutions that went through this program, and they are Disney fans for life. So apparently Disney treats these interns quite well. They're housed on the campus. They get to do a variety of jobs, and so it's a really exciting time for these students. Some of you may have seen in the local media the story about one of our dental hygiene students did an exam on her father-in-law and actually found a pre-malignant cancerous lesion, and the early detection led to a positive outcome. You may have seen that, but it's a really cool story and shows how active learning is a benefit to all students, but also apparently their father-in-laws. Out of the College of Education, the George Washington Carver National Monument Art and Essay Contest is underway. It's a really cool opportunity for some of the winners, the student elementary school winners, to interact with some of our education majors. As well, Rory will be on hand on April 2nd, and the winners of the contest, as well as Rory, will be honorary park rangers for the day. Also, at the College of Education, the Carthage School District a couple of years ago, in fall of 2020, established a Grow Your Own program, basically to help their high school graduates to become secondary and elementary school teachers. And we have had that partnership with them now for a while. We actually teach the Education 100 Intro to Teacher Ed program on their campus as a dual credit course. And we will have the first graduates of that program, 2 of them, and both have been hired now to teach in the Carthage School District in the coming academic year. Any questions?
Are there any questions from Dr. Tom, or comments about academic affairs? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll get it right.
It's all right.
I struggled with Ms. Dean Hackett's name for a while, too. Okay, hearing none, we will hear from our Interim Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Winger.
Thank you, Governor Hershey. My report includes a variety of updates within the Division of Student Affairs, first including our final installment of the HERF 3 student grant funds will be distributed over the next couple of weeks to our students. That'll be the second half of the approximate $7.6 million that was given to Missouri Southern for student distribution. I'm sure the students will be excited to have that just before spring break. We've had a variety of co-curricular opportunities for students to be involved with and engaged with each other. Everything from guest speakers to magicians to more professional events like our Dress to Impress program. Spring Career Fair is next week, where we'll have over 100 businesses here to share opportunities for our students for employment. I'd like to bring your attention to 2 important updates about the admitted student experience and the financial forgiveness project. We've had a lot of collaboration across the institution to enhance the engagement experience of our prospective students and current students from the point of enrollment to the first 20 days of school. So we'll be doing things a little bit differently this year in hopes to enhance that engagement. And we have been working and prepping for a financial forgiveness project where we will be communicating with students who left Missouri Southern with an outstanding balance and unfinished degree, and work with them to forgive old debts as long as they meet the stipulations within that program, and to be able to come back and finish their degrees. Finally, we have a community engagement opportunity with our MSSU Aquatics program, and with the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, the City of Joplin Parks and Recreation, Joplin Family YMCA, and area firefighters, they're bringing a water safety program to the community, and we'll be able to host one of those events this summer. That concludes my report, and I entertain any questions.
Are there any questions or comments about Dr. Wingert's report? I would just note that I really appreciate the increased focus on enrollment. You know, we heard about admissions, and I'm glad that's up, but enrollment in that first 20 days becomes priority. And, you know, I think we have a great place, and we want to make them all feel welcome once they get here, from the minute they decide, or before. Are there any questions for Dr. Winger?
Do we know how much old debt on the financial forgiveness? Floating around out there, dollar-wise?
It looks like about 1.3 million. We're going back to fall of 2015 on that.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Winger? Looks like Carlos has, or Governor.
Follow up to that, do we know anticipated number of students that may take us up on that offer of coming back to
We'll
finish
be
their degree?
we reran the list, so we will be reaching out to approximately 3,000 students, former students.
I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that in future meetings, but again, I appreciate the focus on enrollment along with the admissions. Are there any other questions for Dr. Winger? Okay, we will move right into our Vice President for Business Affairs, Mr. East.
Thank you, Governor Hershey. As we talked about earlier on the Oval, we are getting very close. In fact, the first page of your report that you see there of the 5 bullets that are listed, 4 of them are complete. And the last one in the tunnel is nearing complete, probably will be complete in a couple of weeks. And when you turn the page, the first bullet, the actual seat wall cap at Reynolds Hall has been installed, so that one's complete. So 3 of the 5 bullets are complete, and the last bullet on the light poles, if you were to look outside the window when you leave, the new light poles are installed. They have not been energized yet, and they will be soon, and the old light poles will be removed, so we're getting very close. And yes, we are pushing them extremely hard. In fact, I talk to them every day and try to get them. They whine about the weather, and I say, haven't you ever done this before, for gosh sakes, in the weather? So anyway, we're pushing them very hard, and it will be done in time for that photo shoot. Let me write that down. And the other project is Taylor Performing Arts Center, the TPAC project. That is going very well. They have installed helical anchors, and those are anchors that go from the outside wall through the mason into the inside wall and hook to steel beams on the inside wall to keep the walls together, and they're getting close on completing that. I talked to the architect on the seats and the carpeting this morning, and they're getting ready to order the seats. We're going to work out one issue with the seats on the description, and those should be in, and that project will be complete January of 23. I knew you were ready for that. And there's one thing that is not on your list that I wanted to bring you up to speed on, and hopefully this is the very last time I bring this up. I thought it was going to be last time, but it's on the trail project.
Wow!
Much to everybody's surprise.
The last time.
Much to everybody's surprise, the city has finally executed the deeds conveying the land to Missouri Southern. So we should be complete with that. You know, I say that every time, but we should be complete with that project. You have any questions?
It's a great trail.
It is a great trail.
Have we been mowing the property?
Yes. Yes, we have. Maybe we could, you know, turn that back into the B project and just let it go, but I don't think we want to do that. Rewild it.
Balance, work together.
Yep.
Okay, next, we hear from our Director of Athletics, who may have some even more exciting news for us, Mr. Mallory.
Thank you, Governor Hershey. Relatively brief report this time around from athletics. I want to start by highlighting the tremendous success of the women's basketball program this season. What you have in the written report is already outdated, as they are now 24-6 on the year. The number 4 seed in the Central Region, advancing to the NCAA tournament, NCAA postseason for the first time since 1996. First time in program history, MIAA regular season championship, and a record-breaking 17-game winning streak. Coach Ronnie Russell was honored as MIAA Coach of the Year, and freshman point guard Lacey Stokes was named MIAA Freshman of the Year, MIAA Player of the Year, First Team All-Defense, First Team All-MIAA, and First Team All-Central Region. The women play tonight versus St. Cloud State at 7:30 p.m. in Hays, Kansas. I would like to highlight the athletic department's finish in the NCAA Teamworks Challenge, which was a fall semester nationwide challenge based on community service hours logged by student athletes. Our athletic department finished 6th in Division II in that challenge. Next year we will be shooting for the top of the leaderboard. And then lastly, just a quick recap from the NCAA convention back in January, for which Dr. Van Galen and I were in attendance. At that convention, a new NCAA constitution was passed with overwhelming support. That constitution reduces national oversight and pushes more responsibility to the respective divisions to govern themselves. We're now in the process of kind of figuring out how Division II needs to alter our legislation and governance structure with the opportunity for more autonomy. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions on that or other items.
Any questions for Mr. Mallory? Well, on behalf of the board, tell the women's basketball team we're with them. We're behind them and supporting them.
It's been a great year.
They've done great. Okay, no questions for Mr. Mallory. We're quiet today. Our treasurer, Mr. Ice, Mrs. Ice. What is it with me misspeaking? Treasurer's report.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone, and we will look at the financial statements that are ending March 31 of 2022. Of course, the first thing you see is the cash graph, and as you can see on there, there's a rather large balance of $24.8 million in unrestricted cash. I've mentioned this a couple of times. This does include the limited time funding that we have from the HERF institutional funds. We drew down money last year, and $6 million of that is in there, and this year we have drawn down almost another $4 million. So in total, there's about $10 million worth of HERF funding within these dollars. And if you'll recall, if you look at last year's numbers, we always stair step when we get to the spring semester. This is the payment of student accounts, so that funding is flowing through the cash accounts. And as we head towards the end of the year, it will stair step back down. The next statement we take a look at is the statement of net position, and we have total assets of $189 million. We have total liabilities of $131 million, and that gives us a net position of $58 million. We just recently this week, we made our semi-annual bond payment as we do every year. It is an interest-only payment, and that payment was about $937,000 that we made this week. The next thing we take a look at is the comparative statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. We always look at the difference column. We do have a decrease in operating revenues of about $4.1 million. We have an increase in operating expenses of about $2.2 million. And as I mentioned at the last board meeting, obviously compared to last year to this year, we have additional events going on, additional services going on, compared to last year when we did not have many activities taking place on campus due to COVID. So you will see some of those expenses increasing over time. When we look at non-operating revenues, we have an increase of $4.7 million. A big piece of that is about $3.5 million that is reflected in the state appropriations, the additional money that we got this year. And then when we take a look at the current year, we have an income before the revenues of about $7 million, and the prior year we were at $8.7 million. So that does give us a decrease between the 2 years of 1.7. And then as Rob mentioned, discussing the Taylor Performing Arts, as you'll recall, the state did give us capital appropriations of about $2.5 million for that project. And so we have started drawing down those funds, and you can see there that we've drawn down about $120,000. And as that project continues to move along, we will draw down the rest of those funds. The other thing that is happening in my office, I know I say this every year and I can't believe it's time, but we are gearing up for our annual audit with BKD, and they'll be here in June to start the student portion of the audit. I'll entertain any questions.
Kind of feels like you audit almost year round.
A little bit.
Oh, I don't know why I get that. Are there any questions for Ms. Ice? Questions about the financials? If not, her reports and the statements, the written statements are ones that require motions for approval. I'll need a first and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Governor Haley, seconded by Elliott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So those statements and reports are approved. Next is we'll hear from our Faculty Senate President, Dr. David Locker, who I understand is with us by phone. Is that right, Dr. Locker? Has he been told to press *6? We had this issue a little bit in our committee meeting earlier, where they can hear us, but we can't hear them. Pause for a minute. Do we know if he's on?
We can hear him on Zoom, but not in the room. I'm checking on that.
Thank you. Maybe we'll move, if it's okay, and hear from our Staff Senate President, Mr. Ofer, and then we'll come back to Dr. Locker. And again, thanks to the facilities and all the staff and the food service staff that were here today on a day the university went virtual because of the weather. The board thanks you for being here. And we'll be glad to hear your report in person while we get these technical difficulties with Dr. Locker straightened out.
Southern Swap, and that will be for faculty and staff to...
Is your microphone turned on there?
Hello?
Is it
Am I
on?
good?
Okay.
Am I good? Okay. I will move closer to this.
I'm sorry.
There you go. That's fine. I will start all over.
I'm glad it was a microphone, not my hearing.
So a staff project that we are working on is something that staff is calling Southern Swap. It's for faculty and staff. We'll be exchanging old clothes hopefully good clothes, but many of us have so much MSSU clothing that it might be good to share amongst ourselves. Next month is going to be busy for election committee. Next month we start working on our first quarter Southern Champ Award, as well our election cycle for the next year is starting. Something new the election committee is working on is basically a panel. So if you want to run for staff senate, you'll have to get up and tell us why you would like to run for staff senate, and we'll set some expectations. As always, I share with you a staff conversation update. Staff is excited to see the Oval project. Many would love to see a fountain or two on the Oval, but they know it's costly. And obviously, there are concerns with the realignment with MSSU. However, many are excited for the possibilities ahead. So that is my report. I'll entertain any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Offer? And again, I know the realignment, it's maybe a worrisome time, but we appreciate all the staff and all their work.
Thank you so much, and I'll share that.
Okay, if there's no questions, Dr. Locker, can we hear you yet? I think maybe you can hear us, but we can't hear you. They're continuing to work on that. And we will give them some more time and hear from our Student Senate President, Mr. Olson.
All right, thank you, Governor Hershey. So Student Senate has been doing some exciting things since we last spoke, since I think last meeting we hadn't even met yet. So I'll just kind of go in chronological order here. The first thing we're focusing on are some solar-powered hammock gardens. So those are going to be some nice, like green and gold structures that will hold hammocks, and in the top of the middle pole there's going to be a solar panel, and that's going to power some outlets where you can either plug in your phone or your laptop or your speaker or whatever you want to use. And we actually got that idea from a collaboration we did with the Ncaa College Student Government Association, where we invited them to one of our meetings, we exchanged ideas, and that was one of the fruitful things that they brought to us. That's currently went through Senate, and we've got the funding secured for it, and we're currently working with the Facilities Task Force to iron out semantics and find out a place where we can put them. The second thing that we're working on, which is something that we're going to get to after spring break, is something that we've dubbed the Lion Tank, and it's basically going to be our version of a Shark Tank pitch. Since Student Senate is really here to support the students and the registered student organizations, we're going to allow them to come and present a pitch to us for some sort of campus improvement idea that their organization would like to see, and then we'll go through all the pitches and decide which one we want to quote-unquote invest in. So that's something exciting coming up as well. And then the final thing that we've been talking about, and we actually just brought it up 2 days ago at our committee meeting, is going to be trying to get some sort of outdoor art or sculptures on campus in an affordable way. And one way that we found was that you can actually lease some from people, and in fact it's only about a couple $1,000s per structure, and they would stay on campus for a couple of years. So what that allows us to do is to not just have one piece that comes in permanently and then flops. We're going to have a lot of different art that comes in. Again, that's in the very early stages, but it's something that we also hope to work with the university in and hopefully get some art on campus and sort of create more of a draw for not only the students that are already here, but also prospective students whenever they come to tour. So as of right now, those are our 3 big projects, again, sort of in various stages, and hopefully we can get all of those done before the end of the year. But with that, that would be it, and I am happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Olson? I've seen that hammock project on other campuses, and I can't remember which one. It wasn't Ncaa, but somewhere else. So that'll be good for the students, and you may hear from the Pollinators Club and want to work together on the placement of that. It was a thought that came to mind.
Definitely.
Close, but not too close. So that's exciting. It sounds like you've got a good group right now. Dr. Locker, are you with us? Don't know.
We can still hear in Zoom, but not in the room.
Well, do we have a written report from him? We have a written report.
I've got a plan here.
Huh? Yeah. Who's in there? Okay, he has a plan. We'll give it a few seconds here.
Can everybody hear me? This is Anita.
Yeah, we can hear you, Anita. And Bill and Mariana, I assume, are still with us.
Because I can hear Dr. Locker.
You can? Okay, well, maybe you guys will have your little side meeting, the three
Go ahead,
governors.
Dr. Locker.
Oh, is that him?
Hello.
There you are.
I can still hear you, Dr. Locker. This is Governor Oplotnik, but I think the room cannot hear you.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
We can hear him now. We can hear him now. There's a little delay, but we can hear you.
Dr. Locker, go ahead.
Oh, maybe it was him I was hearing. Sorry. No.
Dr. Locker, go ahead.
I think I hear something, but it's not intelligible.
Can the room hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, now.
I'm sorry, who can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Dr. Locker, go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so, geez, after all of this buildup, it's going to be kind of anticlimactic. It's not a very long report. We're still working on, day-to-day operations within the campus. We're actively looking to streamline the process that course and program changes and approvals go through, and that should be completed by our next meeting, and then we can start implementing those changes and suggestions. We've been working on streamlining some language in the handbook, and again, those are happening piece by piece, and it's an ongoing thing. The primary focus of the Faculty Senate, probably not surprisingly, has been the restructuring. Our February meeting happened just before people were notified of potential non-renewals, and then our most recent meeting happened just before this meeting, so this past Monday. So everybody's attention right now in the faculty is focused on the restructuring and reorganization of academic colleges and how that might affect some of our programs.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Locker? We talked a little bit earlier in the Academic Affairs Committee meeting about the restructuring and reorganization. So we appreciate the Faculty Senate's focus on that. No questions? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Locker, for your report, and we will now move to the board committees. I don't think the Personnel and Compensation Committee met, did they, Mr.?
We did not.
So do you have a report, I assume? No?
My report is not me.
Thank you, Governor Elliott, for your report. Academic Affairs, we did have a busy meeting. Anita, are you still with us?
I am here. Can everyone hear me okay?
Okay, can we turn her up?
Go ahead.
Can everyone hear me okay?
No, we can't hear you yet, but
Go ahead.
I mean, we can hear you, but it's over on the
This is Governor Oplotnik. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what was going on there. But yes, Governor Hershey, Academic Affairs had a lot of items for consideration today. I believe all the board members on the phone and in person actually attended the meeting. So we do have 4 action items to come before approval of the full board today. And the first item is the consideration of the degree programs that are listed on everyone's handout. So I will entertain a motion to approve those.
I think those motions are in Academic Affairs, and perhaps the motion comes from here now as a point of order, if I have it right. So, yes, the Academic Affairs Committee did look at those this morning and ask questions, and if there's any other board members here that have questions about those, there's probably not, since you heard, but I think we're supposed to give the opportunity for the full board to consider them. And if not, I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the committees, the degree programs that the Academic Affairs Committee approved this morning and are recommending that the full board approve. Dr. Rosenberg? Is there a second? And a second by Richard. So, the new degree programs are approved by the full board. So,
Governor Hershey, sorry, we're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. The second item for approval is a motion for the reorganization of the academic colleges, and I would entertain a motion for that approval.
first I'm going to give the full board, I know they were at the Academic Affairs meeting, but they were, and these reorganizations of the colleges were approved and recommended to the full board by the Academic Affairs Committee. So I would need a motion from the full board about the reorganization of the academic colleges as recommended by the committee.
I'll move to reorganize the academic colleges as discussed in the committee meeting.
Dr. Rosenberg has moved that we approve those, and is there a second? Second by Richard. I think he got in first. So the reorganization of the academic colleges from 4 to 3 is approved by the full board. Oh, I forgot to call for vote. Thank you. Our board council points out. All those in favor among the full board of the reorganization of the academic colleges? Aye. Now it's approved. Thank you. Next, yeah.
In the academic affairs meeting, we also had a recommendation for the 10-year request for Dr. Lisa Toms, and I'll entertain a motion for that approval.
I'll first give the opportunity for the full board to ask any questions about that. And then I would need a motion. Elliot got in before you this time, Governor Rosenberg. So I will put you down for a second. Is that right? Okay. So all those in favor of granting tenure to our new provost, Dr. Lisa Toms, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So, congratulations, Dr. Toms, and thank you for being here again. Our last one, Governor O'Platnick.
Yeah, sorry about the communication. It's really hard to hear on that. But the academic affairs also reviewed the sabbatical request for Kyle McKenzie, and the academic affairs committee did recommend that before the full board. Are there any questions from any board members regarding the sabbatical recommendation?
And again, I think everybody was here and heard that from the full board, but we just want the opportunity for you to ask any questions if you weren't on that committee. And if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion and a second to approve Dr. Kyle McKenzie's sabbatical as presented in academic affairs. Dr. Rosenberg moves that we approve that. Is there a second? Second by Richard. So, Dr. McKenzie will be painting some murals in the town, and we'll be watching for those. So, I think that's it for academic affairs, unless you know of anything else, Governor O'Platnick.
No, again, thank you. Kind of hard to hear everyone and follow along there, but I appreciate the help. Thank you, Governor Hershey. That's all I have.
Yeah, it'll be spring soon, hopefully. So, our budget and audit chair is here in person. Oh, did I forget to call for the vote again? All those in favor of Dr. McKenzie's sabbatical, say aye. Aye. So, it is passed. Did I forget to call for a vote on any others? Okay. I'll slow down and let Governor Haley, who will keep me in check, give his budget report.
Thank you, Governor Hershey. Budget and Audit Committee did meet this morning. We did have a few items on the agenda. Preparation of the fiscal year 23 budget. That process is still ongoing to hopefully be approved in accordance also with our new tuition rate for June of this year. And then we also talked about our P-card audit that was started in 2020 that BKD performed with us. We got the results of that review. There were some policy updates that were made, but we will continue to look at that as a future basis for continued ongoing review. And then we also discussed the voluntary retirement incentive program and the number of employees and faculty that were eligible and those that took action upon that. And so we once have those numbers reviewed that will be carried out and paid out in this fiscal year, but there were no voting actions that were needed out of the Budget and Audit Committee.
Okay, so no actions needed from the full board today, but do you have any questions of Governor Haley that you thought of since the committee meeting? Nope, we lost that. So no action there. And I know the ad hoc pandemic committee didn't meet, but I believe Governor Gibson has continued to attend your internal task force meetings. Do you have anything you want to inform the board of about your attendance at the task force pandemic meetings, Mr. Gibson? I'm sure he's still with us. I just know from talking to Dr. Van Galen, there has been some. Dr. Winger, do you have anything that you want to report about how that task force has gone?
We continue to meet. Our next meeting is at the beginning of April, a couple weeks after spring break.
Okay. Was there some change in the mask policy? Have we already talked about that? Yeah, if Dr. Van Galen could tell us.
So I think the campus faculty, staff, and students are aware, but we did announce yesterday we were revising our mask policy. Masks are certainly welcome, but they're no longer required on campus. That includes classroom spaces. We will still require masks in the Wilcoxon Health Center, Lion Cub Academy. This was certainly informed by recent CDC data that show that our region of the country has a significantly lower number of hospitalizations. There's good hospital capacity. So that change was made and announced to campus yesterday. Obviously, we'll continue to track the data and be prepared to make any other changes if they're needed. So, thank you.
Okay, that's all our committee reports and old business. Is there any other old business that needs to come before the board? No other old business. Is there any other new business that needs to be brought up before the board today? Our future meeting date that is set now is June 9th, 2022, and I've communicated preliminarily with our board secretary, Ms. Boyd, about next year's meeting dates, and you should be getting those dates to put on your calendar, soon. So we'll meet again on June 9th as a full board, and in between, with notice as necessary. There were a couple of topics since January that came up that we need to meet about in closed executive session. Our board counsel, Mr. Hammonds, has advised that there are appropriate topics to talk about in closed session pertaining to RSMO 610-021, subsections 1 and subsections 3. We do need a roll call vote to go into closed session. And those of you on the phone, I think there is a different means of communication that we do that when we go into closed session. Hopefully you've gotten the instructions on that and it will go smoothly. but we'll need the roll call vote if Ms. Boyd could take that for us.
Of course. T. Mark Elliott. Bill Gibson.
Take that as a yes.
Was that a yes? Carlos Haley.
Yes.
Allison Hershey.
Yes?
Marianne Morgan.
Yes.
Ron Richard.
Yes.
Anita Uplotnik.
Well, we didn't hear from Governor Gibson and Governor Oplotnik, but a quorum of the board, a majority has. Oh, I just heard a yes from Governor Oplotnik. So a majority of the board has voted to go into closed session, so we will do that. What room are we in for that?
And Dr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Oh,
I know, I'm chopped liver, but that's okay.
yeah.
I remembered you.
You know, this phone thing, I'm never good at it, but this phone thing always just throws me off. I'm sorry.
It's 3:43.
We'll go to room 343. And
Yes.
thank you, Ms. Boyd, for doing that.
You're welcome.
Remember Dr. Rosenberg. So we'll meet you down in 343. And those of you on the phone, hope to see you there too.
There's another link.
Yeah, it's cold. Shattering.
What?